Oh man, a lot of good stuff happening here. A lot of good stuff. What up, guys? Um, haven't made a video in a while, and I do apologize about that. Just been busy with work and everything. Things are finally starting to die down. Excuse me. A couple things. Wow, I'm sorry that came out of nowhere. A couple things I want to talk about. One is everybody's saying that the end of Raw last night has garnered a lot of controversy. It was done in bad taste. They referenced the dead. They made light of the dead. Um, First off, it's wrestling, okay? Everybody's talking about how WWE needs to be more edgy, and they also can do that with being PG, and that they needed to find a way to mesh the two together. Well, last night they did just that. Um, I often equate WWE to a comic book, a living comic book. You got no, I mean, they did that at SummerSlam for crying out loud when they brought in Stephen Amell. Um, so I mean, they even made graphics that were comic book like. But to me, all of WWE can be like that, kind of. You suspend your disbelief. That's what they're trying to get you to do. That's what wrestling should be about. Back in the day, that's what wrestling was. And everybody's talking about how we need to get into more wrestling. You know, fucking hell. When Dusty got jumped by the Horseman back in the day, you were sitting there going, oh my god. It's as if, they really fucking kicked his ass. Oh my lord, I hope he's okay. I hope he's not in the hospital. And there, Dusty comes on there. Thank you for your cards and letters, baby. But I'm doing great, and I'm going to get Ric Flair and the full Horseman back there for you people. It was just great. Last night kind of references that. You have the bad guy. Say it's Batman, okay? And then you have Joker. So you have Charlotte and Paige, and and Paige just comes out and be's a evil fucking bitch and goes, you know what? You're only doing this because your brother couldn't do it. Your brother couldn't cut the mustard. Your brother didn't have the same life ambition that you did. Go there. What's wrong with going there? Everybody goes, well, it's 2015, Joe. And we have to have our pussies powdered every 5 fucking minutes, or else we just, we have to please everybody. And if one person gets offended, oh my god. Give me a break, guys. In 98, this would have flown, nobody would be saying shit. This wouldn't have phased anybody. I love the fact that last night, you're in the Carolinas, the Flair's home territory. You're in Flair country. And they pulled a punch like that on you. And they went there, and the crowd was, oh, they went there. Oh my God, how are we supposed to react to this? It invokes thinking. It invokes logic. It invokes the audience to stop and just stop being robots like what Vince McMahon always wants and just go, oh my lord, she went there, what do we do? And then you got half the crowd who likes Paige that are going, fuck yeah, she went there. You got the other half who is like in Charlotte going, kick her ass. And that's exactly what happened. Charlotte repeated, without missing a beat, throws the mic down, leaps over the table, throws her over the announce table, which you've never really seen a woman do that before, that hardcore. The announcers go dark. It's just a beautiful ending segment. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It makes me want to see these two fight. There was no reason for these two to fight. It reminds me of the whole CM Punk um, the whole CM Punk Undertaker thing from 4 years ago or whatever it was, 4 or 5 years ago. That feud meant shit. You had no reason to want to see those two fight until Paul Bearer. I love Paul Bearer. He's the first guy I ever saw on the wrestling when I turned on the TV back in '91. So please don't take this the wrong way. But Paul Bearer's death added to that feud. Paul Bearer made you, in the way CM Punk was like tossing around the urn and all this and emptying out the ashes and all that. It made you want to see the two fight. It made you want to see Taker go, Taker, you need to kick his ass. That's your mentor. You know? It would have been no different if, and now granted this probably wouldn't have happened, but can you imagine in world class if they go, And maybe it did happen because I've really watched much World Class. But what if the Freebirds came out and goes, or even Flair would have came out there and goes, you know what, Kerry, you're not going to win this belt for me. You're not going to win the belt from me here in Texas at the Parade of Champions. Why? Why? Because your whole family is full of nobody and full of nothing but losers and screw ups. Just look at your brother David. He had his prime opportunity to take my title, and now he's gone. He gave up. He'll never get it. And it would have been the same thing, and that would have added fuel to the fire. And actually, in Texas back in that day, it would have been over. Nobody would be saying shit about it. It would have been 10 times over. In fact, I think it would have added to that feud. It's okay, and on the other end you have Charlotte going, "Don't you dare. You better shut up. You better close your mouth right there. You're crossing the line." When she called Flair an old fart, I loved that promo. I loved that ending segment. I think we need more of that in wrestling nowadays. Am I going bald? Anyway, what else is on my mind here as far as wrestling goes? Yeah, they're pushing Roman to win the belt. Anyway, see how long that lasts. Um, is anybody else missing Sami Zayn like I am? Or is anybody else hoping that he comes back at the Rumble like I am? Anyway, um, NXT right now, eh. Joe Balor's going to be good. Joe's going to take the belt off Balor, probably, in London. And I think Balor needs to disappear, and then we finally see him debut at the Rumble too. The Rumble is a good place to move some of these talents up. Um, a lot of people are saying, well, tournaments can't work. The one thing I will say that they're using this tournament for is to build somebody new, like a Roman Reigns, and put them from here to here. The only problem is that the fans have told WWE time and time again, you know, they don't want him to go from here to here. It's like, as Jerry Lawler would say, at first, if you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. So they don't want to see him doing this. To me, I always like the aspects of King of the Ring. King of the Ring doesn't draw. People say tournaments don't draw. No, tournaments should be used to bring up the next guy. The Royal Rumble should always be used to bring up the next guy. A former champion should never win the Royal Rumble, in my opinion, unless they've been gone for a long time. Money in the Bank should be used to definitely elevate somebody new from here to here. Sheamus should never win it. You should never have. I never agreed with CM Punk winning it twice, except for the fact that CM Punk's first title reign was completely swept under the rug and might as well have never happened. So I think that you need to have that. Those things should be used to elevate the guy up to there. Give the King of the Ring winner a title shot at SummerSlam, like what they did the year Brock won it. It took Brock from here to here. Granted, Brock was already going from here to here regardless, but it made it that much better. A couple things that are on TV here that I'm really looking forward to. I went back and watched Daredevil this week. In fact, I have binged watched the entire season in one day, um, simply because of the fact that I want to see if they're going to do a crossover episode between Daredevil and Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones debuts Saturday on Netflix, so and I'm so glad I have Sunday and Monday off to binge watch the hell out of it. Um, One thing that really kills me about Jessica Jones is I really didn't know hardly anything about it until I started doing some research. I'm like, oh my God, I hope to God they go the full bore on this one. For those who don't know, Jessica Jones was part of the 2001 Marvel Max line of comics. And the reason why they did it Marvel Max, because everything back in the day was Max or Extreme, was that they wanted to appeal to a more adult audience. I mean, the very first word of the very first Alias comic, which is Jessica Jones's comic, is the F word. The very first word in that is the F word. So that gives you a tone of where it's going. But we learned that Jessica Jones is a superhero, or was a superhero, um, and that she was impacted, like she basically, she knew Peter Parker back in the day. I have to go all the way back. She knew Peter Parker back in the day, went to the same high school, had a huge crush on Peter Parker. She was there and was approaching Peter Parker to ask him out on at the exact same time that the radioactive spider bit him on the neck. Well, because of the radioactive spider taking place, right away, Parker ran off and never got the chance to talk, or Jessica never got the chance to talk to him. Fast forward a few years later, um, Jessica Jones, her father apparently worked for Tony Stark and who is Iron Man, for those who don't know, and won a trip to Disneyland. So they go to Disneyland. Coming back from Disneyland, and this is going to sound very daredevilish, but it does. And her car, the car carrying her family, they get into a wreck with a truck carrying a bunch of radioactive waste, and basically her parents and brother are killed. So Jessica, I believe her name was Danvers at first, not Danvers, no, Campbell. It was Campbell. Um, she goes in and gets into a coma and comes out of the coma. I believe it was a 9-month coma. Comes out of the coma. Everybody's like, oh, look, your parents have died. The Jones family is now going to adopt you. She goes back into the same school, and now everybody, including Flash Thompson, who of course later becomes Carnage, they start picking fun on her, calling her coma girl and all this. So the emotional aspect of this is already wearing down on her. Peter Parker tries to calm her down, but she sees it as a sign of him making fun of her, so she runs away. Um, as she's running away, and she's running through the park, she begins to notice that she has superpowers. As a result of this, they finally kick into gear. She could lift her bike up over her head. She tackles and tears down a tree. Um, she ends up discovering that she has flight powers, and which ends up she ends up flying right into the Hudson River and was rescued by Thor. Um, so she ends up becoming a superhero named Jewel. Jewel, her very first, before she even becomes Jewel, she stops the Scorpion trying to rob a laundromat. Then she says, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all out. She gets a costume, becomes Jewel, whatever. Well, on her, one of her exploits of, being a superhero, she comes across the Purple Man, who I believe is Zebediah Kilgrave. Um, Kilgrave has the power to mind control. And his mind control is different because not only does he say, you will go there, it's not like a Jedi type thing. He basically puts the thought in people's head like, hey, this is a good idea, I want to do this. So he could say, Joe, go rob a bank. And all of a sudden I would be like, hey, I really want to rob this bucket bank. It's like something I really want to do. It's like I put it in my head myself, or I thought of it up, not somebody feeding it to me. So Jessica runs into the Purple Man. There's a disturbance at a restaurant where the Purple Man is eating a steak, and people are fighting with each other and everything. And he wanted everybody to fight with each other so they would clear out of the restaurant so he could eat his steak in peace. The Purple Man does. So she comes to stop this guy, and all of a sudden the Purple Man is like really infatuated with her and tells her through his mind control, hey, take off your clothes. Well, as she's taking off her clothes, he goes, you know what, never mind that. The police are here to, and they're really distracting me. The steak tastes really good. Can you just go knock these assholes around for a little while? So she does that. She takes out all the cops, whatever. Under his mind control, she stays under Purple Man's mind control and lives with Purple Man, a.k.a. Kilgrave, for 9 months. Or 8 months. I believe it's 9 months. In either way. So, under this 9 months, they do really crazy things, and what I'm about to say is really going to shock people because it actually happens in a comic book. Um, he would sit there and take and put thoughts in her head like, hey, you really want to sleep with me? but I'm not going to let you sleep with me. Instead, I'm going to go mind control two college chicks, bring them over to the house after I rob a bank, and they're all going to sit there in the pile of money and fuck each other, and then I'm going to fuck them while I make you stand in the corner and beg for you, and just and beg for you to let me join and cry. I'm going to make you frickin' cry while you're begging as well. I mean, really, really psycho sexual abuse type shit. Well, finally, as people you may not know, but Kilgrave, aka the Purple Man, is also a really good is a one of the really top-notch enemies of Daredevil. So he tells all of a sudden, apparently he gets sick of Daredevil one day. It tells Jessica Jones, you know what? I'm not even gonna want to. I'm so sick of looking at you. I'm so sick of Daredevil. Put on your slut superhero outfit and go to the Baxter Building or wherever they are. I want you to find Daredevil and I want you to kill him. I want you. He literally tells her in the comics, "I want you to take a metal pipe and take the metal rusty pipe and stick it up his ass." It's one of the things that he tells this girl to do. So she flies all over town looking for Daredevil, and she spots Scarlet Witch and the Vision, who you may know from the Avengers. Apparently, they're an item in this comic book, and all she sees is red. Hey, Daredevil, Daredevil, gotta attack Daredevil, he's wearing red. So she starts attacking Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch ends up, they end up getting into a tussle, and Carol Danvers, who is Miss Marvel, recognizes Jessica and takes her away and pretty much, and it ends up being that the further away Jessica gets from the Purple Man, the more his mind control wears off. So the Avengers finally, they pretty much put Jessica into a coma, okay? After this, after she gets out of the coma, the Avengers are like, you know what? We didn't know that was you. We'd like to offer you a spot on the Avengers to make up for this. You're really good at what you do. You're a really good superhero. And she says, you know what? Fuck you guys, pretty much. I'm done being a superhero. I was there with that man for 9 months, and not one of you looked for me. Not one of you knew who I was and bothered to even give a shit. So fuck you. I'm not going to join the Avengers. I'm gone. And she splits. She then gets visited by Jean Grey of the X-Men. And Jean Grey's like, look, you've been mind fucked. Seriously mind fucked. You have post-traumatic stress syndrome out the ass. You've been sexually abused. You need help. So she puts kind of like a mind block on Jessica Jones, and there's more to it than that. I highly advise you read Alias, the Alias comic series, if you can get your hands on it. So she puts a series of mind blocks on her and gives her some advice on how to combat the PTSD. Says you need to go see a shrink or whatever. So at this time, she opens up Alias Investigations, and it looks like then she's going to, she opens up Alias Investigations, and this is where the comic book kind of stops. The whole Alias series this is where the last end of the Alias comic book stops, and this looks to be where the Jessica Jones series on Netflix is picking up. The entire Alias thing is not about her being a superhero. It's about her being a private eye, and it basically the whole Alias comic book, pretty much up until the last maybe 3 or 4 issues, is about Jessica Jones becoming this PI under Alias Investigations, and basically going through cases and dealing with the fact that she's an alcoholic and she's a pretty much a sex addict, but she has sex not for pleasure. She has sex just to experience it, and because of course she never got to do that. That's the thing that the Purple Man would do, was he would make, get her all riled up and get her hopes up, but would never give her any. He would make her totally infatuated with the Purple Man, but never would act on it. He would act with others, but would never, ever, ever act with Jessica. So this is what they're doing here, and it looks to be a very interesting. There's more to it because you have, you have a love interest, and you have all kinds of crap here going on with it. You have Luke Cage, and in this, who is a love interest in all of this, and she ends up breaking down and telling Luke Cage, look, they become an item, and this is who she telling the story of the Purple Man to in the comics, is Luke Cage. It's kind of like a flashback deal towards the last part of the Alias run. So Netflix is going to make a series about it, or is making a series about it. It debuts Saturday. Kristen Ritter of Breaking Bad, I think it is, appears on here, and it is very, very much looking to go the way of the comic books as far as the dark tone, the post-traumatic stress, the sex scenes, the nudity. Um, well, actually, they really don't show nudity in the comics, so it's going to stay true to the comic book from what I've been told. They got David Tennant. My my doctor. I'm sorry. I love David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. I stopped watching really after he left. I think I maybe watched 3 or 4 episodes with Matt Jones, and I was just like, no, can't do it. Sorry. I know that doesn't make me a true Whovian, but David Tennant is my guy. Um, so you got him playing the Purple Man, and he plays it so freaking well. I mean, so well. The clips I've seen of him, he was born to play this role. That's all I'll say. Um, Mike Coulter plays Luke Cage. Rachel Taylor plays Trish Walker. Carrie Ann Moss is Jerry Hogarth, and David Tennant is Kilgrave. Um, Rosario Dawson is going to reprise her role from Daredevil as Claire Temple, which is a nurse in Hell's Kitchen. And because Daredevil and Jessica Jones both take place in Hell's Kitchen at around the same time, this is all going to be in the same universe. So I'm hoping for a Daredevil crossover, kind of like what Flash and Arrow are doing. Um, the way they've implemented the Purple Man into this show, I'm glad they didn't make his skin purple like it is in the comic books. I'm so glad they didn't do that. And they're not calling him the Purple Man. They're calling him Kilgrave. They're not calling, Jessica Jones Jewel. It's Jessica Jones. Will we get to see a Jewel appearance somewhere in a flashback? I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping that we get to the backstory of this character. The problem is that if they keep true to the comic books, and well, it's not really a problem, but you don't see this a whole lot in television. If they keep it true to the comics, in the comics you find out her origin story very late in the run. I mean, probably the last 3 or 4 issues, I think it is, maybe even less than that, maybe last 2 or 3. Um, so maybe we'll see a slow build of, okay, this chick has powers, whatever, but what's her story? And then maybe in the last 2 or 3 episodes of the show, you'll find out really what it's all about, and you'll get those flashbacks. We know from the trailers that they are going to show flashbacks of what happened between her and Kilgrave. Um, David Tennant already is displaying a lot of humor as Kilgrave, and a lot of serious. It's a really dark but funny character, and David Tennant plays it well. So I'm happy about that, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to binge watching this. I've heard that it's not really a show that you could binge watch because it is so dark and so daunting, and like you really kind of have to take a step back from what people are saying and go, hey, digest it a little bit and then go on to the next one. So who knows? Um, I'm looking forward to it on Saturday. I can tell you that the very first 2 episodes were directed by S.J. Clarkson. The first one is written by Melissa Rosenberg. It's on Netflix Saturday. Go to Netflix now and watch the trailers. And also, if you go to the Facebook page for Jessica Jones, they have a lot of stuff with David Tennant up there. So if you're a fan of David Tennant, I urge you to give this show a chance. You will not be disappointed in it from what I've seen so far. And with that, that's going to do it for me. I'm looking forward to this show. It's all I've been able to talk about for like the last month now. So, or for the last, maybe a week and a half to a month it's been like, but I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing, and that's one thing that's really going to piss me off is if they do David Tennant's character as a one and done, like, I'm really gonna. I hate when series do that. They get you so enamored in a villain and then they kill his ass off, and it's like, oh, okay, we'll never see him again. No, I want to see David Tennant continue this, or maybe not in the second season, but I definitely want to see him stay with this show. And I know that you can't have it always be the same villain with superheroes, but how many times did Spider-Man battle the Green Goblin? Come on. So I really hope that this is not just a one and done deal with Tennant. I like David Tennant. I like seeing him on my TV. And with that, I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm going to go, actually it's Tuesday, so I'm going to go watch Flash. We got Arrow tomorrow. I'm really happy with what they're doing with Flash this year with the whole, New 52, and 52 is everywhere in this series. Are we going to see a Arrow crossover with the Flash, where he teams up with his father? Think about that. If you didn't watch last season or last episode, they did drop a huge bombshell regarding Earth 2. But I'm going to leave it at that. We'll catch you guys later. We'll see you down the road.